Pt.1 Emerwet. This is Offset Segmet, your esoteric numerologist. This video is entitled Numerology Decodes the Matrix. Most likely it will be a two-part series. So I invite you to stick with me. I've got a lot of good stuff I want to disseminate to you. I'm going to be reading from my notes because I have words that equate to numbers and I can't memorize those. So I'm going to give you a background about, or basically a backstory about why I wanted to do the numerology in the matrix. There are actually two matrices. For those of us who are walking a more ascendant or spiritually elevated path, we tend from time to time to get caught in some of the programs of the matrix. And so I wanted to break that down numerically so that you can clearly see where you stand, how you walk, where you're headed to. With that, I'm going to start with etymology. The matrix comes from a Greek term called Delphis, which comes from the word dolphin, which means womb. And so it means the womb of a fish. In Latin, it was known as mater, which also meant womb, but it meant an animal, a female breeding animal, which I thought was very interesting. And later it was changed to a female that breeds. So it's a very creative definition dealing with reproduction. And so matrix has many definitions. The one dealing with reproduction is that which grows from within. Also that which is embedded to grow from within. It also talks about being a stamp or a die that is able to imitate or duplicate from the original, which I also found interesting. And then the one that you actually see in The Matrix, the very first movie in 1999, you see an array of numbers in rows and columns. This is another definition of the matrix. There are more, but these are the four that I'm going to stick with. I'm using the Pythagorean method mainly, but I'm also going to use the Chaldean because I want to show you the difference between the authentic matrix and the artificial matrix. The authentic matrix is the number 31 that comes from the Pythagorean method. 31 is the number of the creative manifester. I say that because number 3 is a number that is highly creative. It's a number that's very expressive. It deals with communication. And then the one behind it is the one dealing with authority and power and will and focus. And 3 plus 1 gives you the number 4. 4 is the one that is able to manifest, to build, to construct, to have a foundation for the physical world. 4 is a physical number, as seen as the 4 seasons, the 4 elements, the 4 directions, the 4 winds, the 4 lunar phases of the moon. And now the number for the artificial matrix, I use Chaldean. That number was number 17. 17 is a very powerful number of money. It's dealing with materialism. 1 is the number that is leading authority. It's an originator. It's very assertive. It's dominant. It deals with the will. 7 is the number of your investigator, your analytical researcher, your mental genius. But on the flip, it's dealing with deception, lies, and secrecy. And so when you add 1 plus 7, you get 8. 8 is the number of entrepreneurship. It deals with business, it deals with money, corporatism, materialism, status. It deals with power. And so, two different worlds. One world, we find ourselves as being Thomas Anderson. And yet, in Thomas Anderson's heart, he wants to be in another world. And that world means that he will become a Neo, or the One. And so that movie basically is breaking down who we are in this particular paradigm. Before I get into numbers, I wanted to talk more about the artificial matrix and the gatekeepers of this artificial matrix, because as you saw in the first movie, there were 3 agents. There were 3 gatekeepers. And in this particular paradigm, we also have 3 gatekeepers that I identified. I call one power, but by the numerics it's corrupted power. The next one is sexism, and the third one is racism. These are your gatekeepers that cause a lot of us to be upset, that take away a lot of our energy, in a sense that the emotions are more in a descended form. And in a descended form, energy can cause disease. It can cause all kind of mental maladies. So I want to deal with the first one, power or corrupted power, because underneath that particular program, there are a lot of theaters. Just like when you go to the theater, your different movies you can see, it has the same ability to run different movies at the same time. Those movies or those theaters are called war, spirituality, sexuality, race, education, health and medicine, the pharma companies. It also deals with history and science. So these are all of your theaters in which power tends to run certain programs to give us the propaganda to run our lives. We call this normal. This is our tradition. This is society. This is what is normal. And so now I'll get into the numerics so that you can understand what I'm talking about. The number for corrupted power is 71. It equals 8, just as it does in Chaldean, the number 17. But what's interesting with corrupted power is it has to have an agency in order for it to be corrupted. Powers that be, number 53-8. Enemy, number 26-8. All of this fits together. This is a very interesting design that they used certain programs in order to extract our energy. And it's just like when Neo woke up. He took the red pill, a tracer program, and he woke up from this artificial world in which everybody was plugged in. They thought they were normal. What's interesting is that the word surrogates, number 44, which equals 8, clones, number 26, which is also 8, and zombies, number 35-8, all give the illusion that you are operating in reality when in reality you are not. So to go further, I want to actually get into the actual word of artificial. This plays in deeply with this artificial matrix. The word artificial itself is number 52, which comes to the number 7. And how this plays into is that nothing is as it seems. And so under artificial we have the word program, 43-7. We also have the word control, number 34. Now, physical realm is number 61-7. And then false world, number 43-7. It tells me that the word artificial is that this is a world of illusions. This is what the Mayans called Maya. Well, I should say the East Indians. Both of them were Indians, weren't they? One termed it illusion, which is the East Indians. So, very interesting. I wanted to tie that into the 8 energy so that you could see where exactly I'm going with this. I'm going to get to talking about the racism part, which I couldn't put as the number 8. I had to use the word racial. And that came to the number 26, such as sexism, which is also 26-8. So here are these 3 agents, these 3 running programs that they use over and over and over. And we buy into it all the time. But I want to say to you that we have a spiritual contract. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience because we made a spiritual contract to come down here and to take on bodies of different races, of different cultures, and different spirituality for karmic lessons and to repay karmic debts. We are spirit. We're clothed in these instruments, these vessels called flesh, these different coats of skin. I myself am triracial. I come from an Ashanti African background, from a Choctaw Native American background, from an Irish European background. But yet my appearance is what matters in this 3D world. I may appear to be African American, I may even appear to be somewhat Hispanic, but I call myself an Aboriginal Indigenous woman. I'm not going to be defined by Crayola crayons. I am running out of time. What I'm going to do is have you follow me over to part 2, and I'm going to really get into some more numerics about the programs that's running this matrix, the energy that they pull from us to keep us in this current paradigm of fear and division and war. Thank you for watching my channel. Pt.1.